That's us, yeah, for a way. Stephen, see if you could just begin by telling us about your new deal, your thoughts behind it, and how easy a decision it was, or maybe how difficult a decision it was.
No, it was a very easy decision. I've spoke to the club for numerous weeks, probably months now. It was always going to happen. It was just we've had a busy schedule, a lot going on as well. So delighted to get it signed. There's a lot more work to do at the football club. We've achieved, had a lot of relative success and achieved a lot of good things in the period that the staff and myself have been here. I've got a very good working relationship with Jim Gillespie and Keith Lasley. Jim drives the football club, and I had to make sure that the football club was going to go in the direction I wanted it to, and Jim has been a driver of that, so it was always going to happen. Say we've had a sticky 4 and 6 weeks, in terms of results, but there's a real belief in what we're doing, a lot of belief in terms of just not the results. It's a lot of stuff being put in place to make sure the club's going forward continually.
So it looks like you've got the opportunity now to put in to practice a long-term plan. You're in position till summer 2027. Where do you see the club going between now and then?
It's been it's an upward trajectory really, since we came into the football club. I hadn't been in the top 6 for a long time, 37, 38 years, and then Europe for a long time as well. So that is something that people have come accustomed to, and expectation has risen massively. I've said it previously, if we can be a top 6 side once in every 4 and 5 years, then that's real success. Now, obviously as a manager I want more than that, and I want it every single year. But there's always periods where clubs like ourselves, that there'll be a rebuilding period, there'll be young boys put in to develop. And it goes around in swings and roundabouts where that success comes, but we have to try and make that more often. We have to try and sustain that relative success and continue to build a football club for years to come. I'm only here for a short period of time in the grand scheme of things, but you have to make sure you leave the football club in a really good place for the people that matter most, and that's the fans.
What would your legacy like to be, Stephen, when you do leave?
I've only just signed, so I'm not sure I'm leaving yet anyway. The legacy is I think you've got to manage the football club like you're going to be here for 20 years. Obviously that doesn't happen in modern day football, but you have to manage it with that. So the decisions I make aren't short term, they aren't quick fixes. The same as the board's decision, it's not a quick fix, there's stability, there's a longer term approach to the football club. And when you leave this football club, you try and put things in place that will make it successful for years to come.
How important is it the structure above you is working well and working with you?
Yeah, look, as I say, I've alluded to the 2 people I work very closely with, which is Jim Gillespie, in terms of transfers and the recruitment process and the negotiation with agents. Him, myself and Martin Foyle work closely together. Keith Lasley's, he's driving the club in many different directions in terms of the community. So it's important you've got a good working relationship, and I have. We argue the bit out at times in terms of trying to make the club go forward. We all have got opinions, and we all come together and make the right decisions and the best decisions for the football club. So I think that's important. I've been in the game a long time now. I haven't always had, I've been very lucky I had it at Motherwell, and I enjoyed my time and I trust people, and I have it here, and that's why I've committed my future.
When you get a new deal at this point, does this help to sort of navigate the tricky storm maybe you're going through just now? I
think it was, in terms of the timing, our results haven't been good enough in recent weeks. Some of the performances have been good. Saturday was poor. I totally agree with that there, but it's a longer term approach. It's a stability for the football club, and I'm grateful for the support the board have given me, because they believe in what we're doing, they believe in what the staff are doing, and I think we've proved that over a period of time that longevity and stability will take the club forward and keep progressing.
The question's always asked, looking forward to Rangers. They're maybe going through a little bit of a tricky spell as well. Is there ever a good time to come up against Rangers or Celtic?
They've got massive amount of resources in terms of depth of squad, and it's always a tough game no matter what. If recent results haven't been great, it doesn't seem to matter. They're playing at Ibrox, there'll be a big crowd there, and the expectation they play under is huge, but we know we've got a serious challenge. What we're doing is we're solely focused on ourselves. We had a performance that we didn't like last week as a group. We've spoke about it, we've reset, and we will get a better performance. The result will take care of itself, but we will get a lot better performance. I've alluded to relative success, so big success for St Mirren is top 6 and Europe, and suddenly you believe that you're maybe a good team for different reasons. You know, we've reset that. We're a good team when we work hard, when we're organised, when we press people, when we win second balls, and then the good football comes through. So, you know, we've reset our thinking, reset the reasons why we've been good over the last 3 seasons, and we aim to make sure that performance is looking like a St Mirren team on Sunday.
Did you get to the bottom of what happened at the weekend?
Strangely enough, we watched the game. You know, we got beat against Motherwell. We were very unfortunate. I thought we played really well against Motherwell. Decisions went against us. The Dundee United game, there was lots of good aspects, and lots of the chances that we didn't take. So you go away and you've got, you know, you're relatively positive. On Sunday or Saturday when I watched the game back, we just didn't release and press. We were way too passive. We showed Hearts way too much respect, and that just isn't us. We were content at 0-0 as a group. And you know, the benefit of hindsight, had I had that footage at half time, then you know we would have the benefit of hindsight to go and press more aggressively. But we've looked at it, we've spoke about it. We're a team that never feared anybody, and it looked like on Saturday for some reason that we had a little bit of apprehension about our press, and you know, we rectified that. We believe we'll put that right, and you know, the marker is down now. You have to run to be in this team, you have to press at an intensity to be in this team. Everything else I will forgive.
What are you expecting from Rangers on Sunday?
I know they've got talented boys. You know, you look throughout their squad and throughout their team, they're very talented. They've got resources beyond our dreams. So we expect a really tough game, of course. You know, both teams coming into it maybe not in the best form, but you know, we believe we can get a result. We always believe we can get a result, and we want to put a performance on that reflects that belief. And as I solely say, I'm not worrying about Rangers. You know, I'm worrying about our performance and making sure we get a reaction to last Saturday.
How's your squad looking for the weekend?
Yeah, we're starting to get people back slowly but surely. You know, something that we never mentioned. We actually had 5 left-sided defenders not available for one reason or the other. 6 defenders if you include Sean Rooney in that. So we've had to chop and change and change the shape and not get any consistency in terms of our personnel. But we're starting to get that back again. We're starting to edge back towards the system and the style that we played last season. So Conor McMenamin, you know, be available. Greg Kilty, another game under his belt. So everyone bar Dennis Erdogan from last week is Dennis has got an illness, so we're not sure how he'll respond over the coming days. But other than that, we've got people back and fighting for places again.
Do you think you've shaken off the sort of European hangover now, Stephen? Do you think that's maybe what's behind that wee sticky patch of results that you've had? Or has that contributed factor?
I think it did early on. I don't think it contributed to Saturday. Saturday was solely ourselves. I'm not in the business of making excuses. The European stuff took its toll in terms of injuries. It took its toll in terms you get a lot of time in the ball and you can play a different style of football. But in the Premiership here, you don't get that time. You deal with long throws, you deal with longer balls, you deal with physicality, as well as a lot of quality as well. But you deal with all those things that maybe you don't have to cope with in Europe. But that's long gone now. The excuses are gone. We're a team now wanting to show and resetting ourselves of what we're about.
Brilliant.
Lovely.
Okay,
Thank you.